Good morning. Good morning. Hello. You can see by my eyes and you can see by this face that it's been a bumpy couple of hours or last 24 hours. So, it's been bumpy and we had an X flare. That's the title for today. So let's start and sort of dive in with what I've collected for right now. And if you're new to this channel, we've been talking about this for about 18 months and really intensely over the last year. I'm so glad you're here. If this is helpful, please like and subscribe. And if you've been following me the whole time, we can just sort of hold on to our chairs and go, what the heck is going on? Right? Okay. So, first and foremost, we have had an M class flare every single day since last Sunday. Sometimes it was like on Sunday it was an M1. On Monday it went up to an M9 point something, which was an almost X flare, and then it dropped back down to a 4 on Tuesday and Wednesday. On Thursday it was a 7. On Friday it was an M3, and then yesterday. It started with an M4 and then it's just been going along. So, here on the spaceweather.com, you can see this cluster. So, this high peak right here is where the X flare happened. And you can see all of this M activity going up to it and afterwards. So, you can find this on your spaceweather.com app. And, so, according to Pam Youngins, we've had 19 M-class flares in the last 17 hours. Now, as let's just review, an M-class is the equivalent of being in a tower moment on tarot. So when we go to the Osho Zen, this is what the tower looks like. It's where you're ignited. You have all of this cellular data, all these photons, this activity coming into your system, and it's removing densities and debris. You're also sort of welcoming it and sitting in this lotus position, right? And allowing that kundalini to come up. It can be as intense as this, and it can also be as beautiful as what happens in the light seers deck, which is there's energy coming in and allowing all of the animals, all of the sentient beings on earth to celebrate and get along. So it can be both and, right? And we can rock back and forth when this is happening. It can also look like this, which is where we get insights, where our ears are ringing, where our heads are hurting. It is also what happens when we're on the wheel of fortune and it goes up and it goes down. So we have to find some sort of balance. I love the way the Page of Pentacles shows us that she just holds on one foot and holds that balance while these flares are coming in, right? And then what I love more is when the hermit comes up, which is like you take that energy and then you shine it out. So this is what we're doing right now. We have 19 M-class flares. Who knows what else is coming? To me, it feels like we're at the beginning of something. We're at the beginning of something we've been waiting for October, November, and December to happen because it's really, really bumpy, right? So according to Pam Youngins, she did a symptoms check-in, and she said that in the last 24 hours, especially, it started to peak for me about 1 to 2 p.m. yesterday, Saturday, and I noticed by about 5 or 6, I was struggling with most of these symptoms, and I was in bed by 9 and then awake at 12:20 or 12:17, 12 to 12:30 when this X1.11 or X.1.14, depending on what resource you use. It was still an X1, came in at 12:17 Mountain Standard Time. Okay, that was when it peaked. So it was pretty big. So the symptoms are that it's sleep disruption. You could have heart racing or heart palpitations. Your stomach issues or digestives really took a loop. I sat on the couch last night going, what did I actually eat that is destroying my gut so much right now? Now, I did have a birthday cake that was from a grocery store with about, an inch of that crappy frosting and all of the red and blue and green food dyes on it. I had a couple of bites of that and I thought, oh, surely this is just destroying my stomach. But now that I look at the symptoms and know that the flare was happening, I'm thinking, yeah, that was probably food that shouldn't be in my stomach when I'm trying to deal with this kind of stuff, right? Ear and head ringing. it's almost been ringing for so long that there's a dullness to the presence of it for me. And for some of us who have been in our discussion group, we've been talking about how we've normalized the ear ringing. Yet it was pretty loud. It's been really loud. It's really loud right now. There's a lot of nervousness and anxiety. There's a spinning sensation, like you get up from a chair and it takes you a minute to stop moving around and find your feet. And it's like, ooh, did I just get up on the wrong foot? Or am I actually just a little bit dizzy? Right. And there's pressure in the head, there's pressure in the sinuses, there's pressure in the eyes. So remember, any of those sinus, points that you can hit that are going to help you drain are going to be really, really helpful. Right. So I'm noticing that there's a complete lack of appetite. It's like I want to chew on something, I want to eat something, but I don't really, nothing sounds good, and whatever I eat doesn't really hit the spot. And I'm noticing that heavy foods, sugars, anything processed, potato chips, anything that's been that sort of that snacky food, crackers that everybody has out during the last month is just nauseating to me. I can't even look at it. It doesn't work with my system. And I also can't find the sort of right thing to eat, except for me, apples. They just seem to be the crisp, tart, phenomenal, easy thing to eat. And it's been very limiting, right? So this is where we amp up, because we know when these symptoms come in, we amp up our electrolytes, we amp up our minerals, we amp up our magnesium, and we get more sleep and rest. So if you need to take a nap today, if you need to just turn everything off and go lay down for the afternoon, or go to bed early, or take a bath. I took a bath Friday morning, and and it was just sort of just sat there for about an hour and a half and thought, this is what my body needed. So make sure that you're taking care of yourself on that. Because as we enter 2025, there are three things I want to talk about that are sort of in the works right now that I want to bring into this video today and for this week and talk about it. We're also going to talk about it in our discussion group. So I would love to have you come join. There's a link down below to do that. Okay, so the first thing is that when these solar flares are activating us, right? When we are having this kind of activation, it's cellular. It affects our DNA. It's unblocking things. It's removing densities. It's opening up, and it's helping us shed. And our bodies and our energies, they're transforming, they're shifting, they're changing, whatever word you want to use. We can't help but be changed by this. So when we have 19 in one day after a steady week of M class over and over again, we know that our bodies are going through phenomenal change. So we have to be very aware of that, right? And take care of it. So that's the first thing, is that with this increase in solar flares, our cellular system is rapidly changing. Okay, number two, our spiritual, I guess you can call them spiritual, I'll call them the unseen, the invisible skill sets are becoming more predominant within us, right? So this is our ability to feel our sensitivities, our physical sensations. These are our clairs. Like, you're starting to know things that you are trusting. Well, wow, I actually know things before they happen. So it's being able to use all of our senses with the clairs and bring in information that feeds us into our knowledge and goes, yeah, that makes sense to me, right? Okay. Our telepathy, our dream information is all becoming much deeper, much more profound. Our awareness, our clarities, like for instance, I have talked over the last 2 to 3 weeks about projection. I am seeing versions of projection, versions of gaslighting, versions of things that were so subtle before I missed them, and now I'm seeing them repetitively over and over again. So I'm going to hold up these two, because this is the King and Queen of Pentacles. This is when we are fully embodied. And what I like about her is you can see sort of the circle from the sun, and she's just allowing it to come in. She's just working with it. And he is working with it as well in his own way. Look at the books of knowledge behind. Look at the relationship between him and the dog. This is a very practical 3D physical embodiment when information comes up. And this is mastery in both the masculine and the feminine, which we have both of these energies inside of us, right? So, as these invisible skill sets, we recognize that a lot more wisdom, a lot more information is coming in, and we work with it, right? And so, the third thing is that we have a new moon tomorrow, and the new moon is in Capricorn. This is the Osho Zen card for Capricorn. This is the devil. This is when we have these layers of things we put on ourselves in order to fit in order to make sure that we don't stand out, that we don't threaten, that we don't scare off the people we know and love around us. And in this case, I've often spoken about this. This probably was an adorable lion cub that was adopted by the sheep. And as the lion cub is growing into who she is supposed to be, she has to keep minimalizing herself in order to fit in with the sheep. So as we are in this new moon in Capricorn, it's very physical, right? Because Capricorn's an earth sign. Capricorn is also a cardinal sign, which is full on leadership. It's in the element of earth. And it's powerful. That's why I wanted to show you these two, because this is where, we hold with this new moon all of the beginnings of something new in physical form. This is also what the Crowley deck, the Thoth deck, will show you as these are two versions of the Ace of Pentacles, new beginnings. So we have this new cycle, new year, and we're getting clear and we're getting super clear. Like there is no doubt that you know exactly who you are and what's going on, and that we embody. We embody with grace, we embody with wisdom, and we put our feet firmly on the ground and we manifest and create from that spot. And we ask for what we want. So this is very forward focused. And so as we go into this new moon tomorrow, which is 2 days before we cross over into 2025, it's kind of like, what do you want to be? What do you want to create? How do you want to embody? How do you want to set yourself up? Because between the accelerating flares and our skills coming online and this rapidly dismantling of old institutions, we're seeing healthcare, we're seeing politics, we're seeing financials, we're seeing everything sort of like education, we're seeing all of these things starting to rattle. Our earth is shifting as well. In the physical world, it's adjusting just like we are, sort of as above, so below, as within, so without. Our earth is shifting, our atmosphere, our collective is shifting, and we are part of that, and we are leading in that as well, because we are energetic beings, right? So we also have these loud noises sort of coming at us all the time. And I'm going to call them the economy, the economic issues, the political issues, the global war issues, the news, the financial concerns, everything that's sort of been tapping us on the shoulder is now starting to get our attention. So as we're accelerating and moving into 2023, things are getting louder. That's probably the best way to put it. And that we are in it. And we are in it, and it's kind of like, oh shit, we've talked about this for 20 years, 22 years since the shift in 2012. We've talked about growth and new opportunities and everything for decades, even hundreds of years, even thousands of years, and now we're in it. Okay, so we're in it. So we remember who we are. We know that we're trained and that we're prepared. And for those of you who've been watching this, we've been preparing week by week. Like, what skills do we use? How do we understand what's going on? We have these new tools and we have these skills and these insights to apply, which is I'm not going into this blind. I have studied my body. I have studied the flares. I've seen what happens to me and the people around me, and I am ready. We are ready. Okay. So as we go forward into 2025, we are ready. Now I have 6 tips for you today. Before I go into those tips, I want to do a couple of housekeeping things. I just want to get that paper off, but it's not going to work. First, we have a discussion on Monday instead of the usual Tuesday, because Tuesdays is New Year's Eve, right? So come join us. There's a link down below. We would love to have you come in and bring a question, and let's just throw some things around. Number 2, Now's the time to book a tarot session with me if you want some clarity. What skills do I actually have? How do I apply those skills? What am I being asked to do as I move forward? How come I'm feeling all of these things dismantling around me? And what are the suggestions for how to understand this? These are core questions that we can work on in a tarot session. And number three, and I think the last piece I would say in this little housekeeping part is that this is a service that is so valuable for all of us. So anything that you can do to support me, whether it's buy me a cup of coffee, throw me some cash on Venmo or PayPal, join up on the Patreon and work on it. It just helps me because as I'm watching coaching, sort of whether it's my age, whether it's the time, people are just tight with their money and no one wants to do any services. And those of us who are self-employed and working on these new constructs all the time, now's the time to start supporting that within me. So I would really thank you for that, for 2025, for this week, for whatever. All right, 6 tips. First one, use that assessment tool that we talked about last week. Lay out 2024. Lay it out in front of you and see what stands out. What stands out to you? Was it the things, the places where you laughed? Was it the groups that you found? Was it the changes that you made? Sort of lay it all out, because what you want to do is you want to make peace with it. You want to play with it and tell yourself a story. Like the story I would tell myself is that I have begun to see everything that was valuable to me over the last 10, 15, 20 years, sort of pulling away, like the way that the surf does right before a big wave comes in. And so the story that I would say is that I'm getting ready for some really big change, and it's super exciting to see what that's going to be. I have no idea what it is yet, but the story is that I'm celebrating, like I can put my finger on all of these markers throughout 2024 when I noticed things started to change for me. Okay, so that's number one. Lay out 2024. Make a story, really understand what this year was all about, right? Number two, assess, use your assessment skills in knowing what skills and tools that you learned, what worked, what didn't work, when you notice something, and be really honest and complimentary about what you applied. So what I would say is that the deepening of the yes and nos and the ability for me to work with my own inner guides and the information that comes in has just gone off the charts this year compared to the work I've done over the last 7 years. So to assess that is to say these are the tools that I use when I have new information and I want some clarity. And these tools work, and they work this way. And this is when something comes up, like having upset stomach almost all day yesterday, and knowing that we were in the middle of 19 M-class flares makes sense for me now to be able to break this down and bring it to you, right? Number 3, prepare. Now is the time to get your supplements, to get your electrolytes, to get your minerals, to get your food stocks up of the things that you need in order to support you. The bath salts, the remedies, whatever it is that you need, now's the time to get those in order. So you want to organize them. You want to have systems for them. Like I've got a big bin of salt, huge, right next to the bathtub, and all of the supplements, like the baking soda or the lavender or the sea salt versus the Epsom salts. I've got all that ready because when I'm in the middle of an electrical download that might look like this, I know that a salt bath is going to help me out the most. So you organize and you soften the mood, and you start to develop, how am I going to be gentle to myself? How am I going to support myself, the people I love, my kids, my partner, my tribe, when this is happening, so I can show up and be a translator or a conduit and lead during this. Because remember, we're ready, right? Number 4, have fun with 2025. I'm going to say, don't do the resolutions, don't do the goals, don't do the harsh, like, oh, I need to have this by 2025. What I would say is get out some blank pieces of paper and draw a picture or make a mind map. This is usually how I organize information, is I just put it in the center and start drawing circles around it. And then I can draw pictures, I can do vision boards, but focus on what you love. Make 2025 about what you love. Not what you should do, but what you love. And so, really being clear. Like for me, I love to be out on my cross country skis in the winter. And I also love to sit with a good book in front of the fire. So sometimes those two, one may show up longer than the other, but they are both filled with such love of the things that I love to do. I love to cook food. I love to take long baths in the winter. I love to camp in the summer. Find out what it is that you love to do, and then just focus on the love, right? Because we want to stay away from the harsh have tos, and we want to start to love and align ourselves with where we're going as we go forward and put it into form in this Capricorn new moon, right? Manifest it, create it, right? Number 5, embody. Hello, make sure your feet are on the ground, make sure that your sit bones are in your chair, make sure that you're present in your body. And if you remember that command, I command my spirit and the divine creator, or whatever term you want to use, to bring all of me in me now. So when we embody, what happens is we align, and then we take our right shoulder, our willpower, and we align it with our breath, our prana, and we just hold for, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to focus on. And this is how I'm going to breathe it in. This is just basic core embody skills that matter so much and make such a difference. So we embody. And then the last one is compassion, because not everybody's ready, right? Not everybody wants to be ready. There's going to be some fear. There's going to be some intrepidation. There's going to be some, what do you mean, solar flares or drones or orbs or more conspiracies or elections or this or that. They're just not embodying and saying, I got this, right? So we hold compassion for them. We hold compassion for them, and we're kind, right? And and we're strong, and we model. These are I think that if I were to say this is how we hold compassion, I would hold these, right? Because we hold our light out there. We stand no matter how we're being rocked, with our heart open, our breath and our willpower present. We stand in balance, holding the physical form, and we know we are in our mastery. So I will see you in 2025 next year, and if not, in the discussion tomorrow. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon. Be well.